Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. My first question of the day, are there any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions.
Very good, thank you. I will now ask our counsel to read in the closed session items.
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. I'd like to request that 2B as in boy, that's the Keith Trout existing litigation, not be read into the record. Our outside counsel, Tim Buchanan, would prefer to give you an update at your next board meeting on the 19th. So with that, I will read in the other matters. The first is under Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with your labor negotiators, your agency designated representatives are Roman Noriega, Joel Begay, Susan Carter, the employee organizations of all units, and unrepresented employees, all classifications, excluding elected officials. There are 3 existing litigation matters under Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D1. The names of the cases are Madera Irrigation District versus the County of Madera. This is a Madera County Superior Court, case number MCV 087598. The next is Madera Irrigation District and the Madera Irrigation District Groundwater Sustainability Agency versus Madera County Groundwater Sustainability Agency, your board in the county. That's the Madera County Superior Court, case number MCV 086277. And the last is also a Madera Superior Court case, number MCV 086218. This case is Elizabeth Cardoza, Clay Dalton, David Gill, Landon Gill, Michelle Lascotti, Monica Lascotti, Rosemary Lascotti, Jeff LaForce, Mark Peters, Sally Roberts, Candace Khan, Rakesh Khan, Tasto Smith, SWD Investments, Fulton Ranch versus the County Madera Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And apologies if I misread anyone's name. Thank you, Chair.
Well, very good. Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on the closed session items? Hearing and seeing none, we will recess into closed session. The Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. The first action will be the report of, is there any reportable action out of closed session, Council?
Chairman, members of the board, the Board of Supervisors is pleased to announce 2 reportable actions from your closed session. The first being on a motion by Supervisor Gonzalez, seconded by Supervisor Wamhoff, a unanimous 5-0 approval by Supervisors Gonzalez, Wamhoff, Rogers, McCauley, and Poitras to settle the Madera Irrigation District versus County of Madera, case number MCV 087598, subject to a detailed written settlement and release agreement authorized to be signed by the CAO and County Council. The second reportable action on a motion by Supervisor Rogers, seconded by Supervisor Gonzalez, a unanimous 5-0 approval by Supervisors Rogers, Gonzalez, Wamhoff, McCauley, and Poitras, the approval of the dismissal and settlement of case number MCV 086277. That's the Madera Irrigation District and MID GSA versus the County GSA and the Madera County Board of Supervisors. There is no other reportable action.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We'll move on now and open and close the meeting in memory of several individuals. And the first individual I'd like to bring up is a gentleman by the name of Ron Childers. It happens to be the father of Chris Childers, who passed away recently, and we'd like to extend our condolences and thoughts and prayers to the Childers family at this time. I'd also like to mention the passing of an individual named Dick Monteith last Wednesday at age 92. And many of you remember that Dick Monteith served as our state senator from 1994 until 2002. And then thereafter, he served 3 terms on the Stanislaus Board of Supervisors. And great gentleman. He was from the old school of policymakers who knew how to work across the aisle. He was very pragmatic, very practical, and again, just a very honorable and decent individual. Anybody else? Okay. We will now move on to the invocation and pledge of allegiance, and I'm honored to introduce Pastor Charles Fryer from the Whole Avenue Church of God in Christ here in Madera. Pastor Fryer is also the president of the Madera Ministerial Association this year, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Micah Petrucci. Floors.
Thank you, old classmate, Brown. God bless you. Bow head for the honor and privilege to be here this morning. Invoke your presence upon this. God, we ask that you would be in the hearts and the minds of the council continually. Bless each and every one that have brought concerns this morning. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh upon this meeting on today. We ask this in your precious Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to public comment. And just as a reminder, the first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record. So at this time, we will be open for public comment.
Morning, people of the board. David Paris, in Madera County, Capitan, commonly referred to as Hidden Lake Estates. I stand here today, 3 months shy of being 2 years ago. I made the same address that I'm going to make today. Our water status community. We had the service tank ruptured, and we lost quite a bit of water, leaving 7,000 gallons of daily usage, access to 48 homes. Came here asking for assistance of some type of an emergency, which was completed, sent to the state of California. A grant was approved, formed at the time by an engineer who has since left, and which I guess you've cycled through since then. That the money was allocated. They found a contractor that can supply 230,000 gallon tanks. Construction would begin in September of this last year. In the interim, they moved in 2 military grade 20,000 gallon rubber bladder to auxiliary tanks to the basically 7,000 we had, which we had to reduce our water intake. Our system is failing because back in 2009, board invoked building moratorium because the water that was in that area was inadequate supply from the existing homes. They invoked a building moratorium, which locked down everything. My deck failed, purchased the home. I went to tear it down, destroy it, and rebuild it. And I was told I couldn't do that because it's building moratorium. we got that resolved after a complicated discussion. But today, I understand that the money, the accuracy of this, I don't know, is that that money that was allocated for those tanks, it's gone. Well, did the state call it back because it wasn't used in the proper manner it was? There is an accounting of that, and you know that when anytime the state issues grant money, you have to have an accountability, the funds and how that's exhausted. But we were also told that there was a company that had been contracted and they were to begin the construction, demo of the tank, and then the construction of the new tanks. That has never happened. Here we are today with failing water, the lines keep breaking. The system's just antiquated. I'm asking you to get, if you have to put it on the board and get the public involved with it, there's a lot of options I'm sure that are available that I'm not aware of. I'm sure Jared and Matt know those options. Maybe you haven't been produced, but we need water. We need good, clean water yesterday. Not now, not tomorrow, but we needed it yesterday. I'm reaching out to ask you to engage in this. Let's get something moving. I know that there's people that were a little resistive on the water system because they didn't want to see a development increase in that area, but this is affecting people's everyday living. Yeah, offer that challenge you to initiate some help to us.
And David,
Appreciate
I'll let you know that the funding's not gone. It's just insufficient for the project that needs to be completed. And so we're looking to close that funding gap for the people out there in Hidden Lakes. So it is something that we're aware of. We're looking to address the issue, and we hope to go to construction as soon as possible.
Isn't that funding, wasn't that for the purchase of the tanks? It should have been adequate funding. That might
No, the state did not provide enough funding to get the project done in its entirety. And if you like, after the meeting, we'd be happy to sit down with you and brief you on the matter, so that way you have all the information. I do apologize that we have not gotten that out to you guys.
Craig was really good, and I know he's probably having to pick up the load for a few people, but we would get monthly letters to give us updates on it. To be honest with you, I think the only thing changed on it was dates. There was nothing in the body of the letters.
Okay.
We need progress.
Mhm.
Your help.
Thank you, David.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax with Community and Economic Development. Just a very brief announcement. Our housing element is out for public review. You can review that document at MaderaCountyHousingElement.com. We do also have copies throughout the county, including all of the libraries. Thank you to the library department for allowing that, in addition to social services, public health, CAPMC. We appreciate all of their efforts and help on this, and we'll be going out to the community during this review time to review that as well. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Good morning, I'm David Brewer. I live in Madera County up in Friant on top of Millerton Lake. The same thing that David was talking about, the water problem. We get these boil water notices about once a month. 4 days later, they'll mail us saying that we can drink the water. Why can't they hand deliver it and test the water at the house? They test the water at the tank before it goes through the lead galvanized pipe to the house. At the house, I don't drink it. I'm a disabled vet. There are 3 or 4 other disabled vets up there. We're 75% retired people, so we have older skin. We need clean water. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, and appreciate the job. No, it's tough, but I'm Gary Gilbert, live in North Fork, California. I was here last year right before budget hearing on fire protection. Today, I'm here to request your board to direct the submittal of a FEMA grant, SAFER grant for fire protection in North Fork. My understanding is your board has already moved forward. It is in process, and that is very much appreciated that that action has been taken. What I'd like to say is a little bit of background that the Board of Supervisors, North Fork Rancheria, Mono Indians, our community, and the North Fork Volunteer Auxiliary have worked in cooperation to restore and rebuild the existing fire station and also on this addition that is in progress now. The estimated date of this completion for the fire station is June 1st, 2024. 3 months. The Board of Supervisors, our understanding, has committed to the North Fork Mono Indian tribe, Rancheria, that that station would be staffed. I was not privileged to that meeting, but the tribal leadership has stated that in community meetings. The RFP on the station that has been approved also states that fact. But basically right now, we have 2 or 3 volunteers. They're doing a great job. That's all we have. The trouble is one works 40 hours a week, Oakhurst. The other one lives and works Madera up there on weekends. Do we have 2 or 3? I don't think so, but we do appreciate what they do. I would assume the CAO has concerns about long-term funding, the 5-year commitment posture. But at the end of 5 years, it's the responsibility of the county to pick up. Done a little bit of research. There is some funding available, general fund, that will become due to the county, some reimbursements coming back to you. There's also the North Fork Mono tribe has entered into an agreement with the county for the casino. There is funding available there, and there's also a pretty good increase in sales tax eventually come back to the county. So with that, without going a lot of detail, I have provided it detail to you. Like to, take your time, read it. I'm available for any questions. And on the page 2, there is a correction I'd like to make is this Bass Lake Volunteer Fire Station as 0. They have ultimately just received 1 volunteer, so they are now staffed with 1 volunteer.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
My name is Tomas Chaires. I belong to the Farmir Community and Friends, and the reason I joined the Community and Friends is because I love my community. I care about my community that is in complete abandon. We need street lights. We need our streets fixed. We need speed reduction bumps around our schools, and joining the Measure T, I find out that they receive $12 million per year. So if you put $12 million per year, and you at least put $500,000 per year into our community, I think we will have a better community. We, the people, deserve better. They serve a better community, and there's money available. The money needs to go into places where it is needed. So I hope that you take care of it, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Vicky Ortiz. I make my public comment today as a Fairmead resident, appreciative to be given the opportunity to be on the Measure T Citizen Oversight Committee this year. For Measure T to be on the ballot for a second time, I see Madera County agencies making a better effort to be successful by attempting to attain more input from residents who will be paying for the measure. What I have also experienced with the Citizens Oversight Committee is how valuable the need for significant proactive community outreach and engagement with education of any measure in any county. This will enable residents to make better informed decisions that will impact how and where we live. I also feel there should be more citizen oversight committee opportunities that affect residents' lives. This could help support Madera County's accountability and transparency we as residents sometimes perceive. Although I feel we all have more work to do that include representatives, agencies, departments, and residents for a better quality of life for all in Madera County. It's essential for residents to speak up more about their concerns, how they live in their underserved communities, and it's vital for Madera County to acknowledge the residents they are representing. The two cities in Madera County are planning for more maintained roads and sidewalks, city infrastructure, housing, and commercial and recreational growth. But the disadvantaged communities are not moving at the same consideration. The prepared answer for our underserved communities is that it always comes down to lack of funds. These communities were established before and around the same times as the cities. Don't leave us behind. We can do better. As a resident, I do support a Measure T outcome. But as a resident of a disadvantaged community of Madera County, I say this. Equality means each individual or group of people is given the same resources or opportunities. Equity recognizes that each person has different circumstances and allocates the exact resources and opportunity needed to reach an equal outcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Alicia Paris. I live in Eastern Madera County. Recently, in October of last year, Robert McCauley came and spoke with our community in Hidden Lakes, and he made a promise of semi-monthly meetings, and we have not had one. Semi-monthly meetings with Public Works, we have not had one. So we've missed 2 so far in 4 months. Also, we were told that Craig Wagner, who is the new engineer over our project, would send us monthly updates. We aren't receiving them. So if you would please make sure that we receive updates. Also, we are over budget and behind schedule. There was a schedule that was sent out for the project and for the progress of the project. It is far, far, far behind, and we'd like maybe that revisited, if you would please, to get up to schedule on that project. In the meantime, we're being sent warnings about our water that it's out of EPA standards for trihalomethanes, which cause kidney disease, kidney cancers, childhood cancers, bladder cancers. And we have had a few residents in our community pass away from cancer. These are longtime residents. We are an older community with a lot of new families moving in with children. We only have 49 homes there, but we have 240 lots there. So because of the building moratorium that has been placed on our community, many owners are aging out that never got to see their dreams fulfilled of building on their property. And that's cost them a lot of money as well. So I'm sure you saw the article that was written in the Fresno Bee regarding the toxicity of the trihalomethanes from the disinfectant process, and then also our inability to even exercise our property owner rights to build. So in the meantime, because of all of this, we're being demonetized because our homes are not worth what a home of our size or our quality would be worth because of our poor quality that is hazardous to use and because of the building moratorium. So it's really important to us that you either allow us to build our own wells and provide our own water source so that we don't have to pay for toxic water anymore, inadequate inadequate quality and inadequate quantity, so we can provide our own water if we choose. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Mainu Vang, your Executive Director for the Workforce Development Board of Madera County. I'm here to share with you this morning our biannual program impact report for the period of July 1 through December 31st of 2023. Data reflects an increase in the number of center visits, participants served, enrolled, and financial investments made to job seekers and businesses. And as of December 31st, we invested a little over $681,000 in direct participant costs and provided close to $193,000 in employer savings. We still have training dollars available, so please help us share and spread the word.
Thank
Are there
you.
any questions?
Great job.
Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors. I am not here to ask for money, so you can relax. My name is Dennis Hart. I'm from the Madera County Historical Society. I live in Madera, Tesoro Viejo. What you have in front of you, I believe, is our latest report, and I think it's an important one for the history of this county. It's about an author named Stewart Edward White, who in the early 1900s wrote a book called The Cabin. It was about a cabin he built on Peckinpah Mountain above North Fork. At that point, his book, which was published in hardback by Doubleday, sold 25,000 copies at $1.50 per. That's the equivalent of $50 today. It became a bestseller. And now, 100 years later, Stewart Edward White is barely known, and the cabin has virtually disappeared. And I think this is an important document to talk about what happened. He wrote a book about the cabin after he built it. It was built on land that his father, who was the president of the White and Friant Lumber Company, had bought from the Peckinpahs. His father deeded it to him, 100 acres. He built a cabin up there, and he and his wife spent 5 summers up there working, walking around, hiking around. He wrote about birds. He wrote about trees. He became an expert on the Sierra up there. His cabin was built, this is an interesting story, by a notorious drunk up in North Fork, who I name in the book, who was an expert builder, who later became a public official in the community of North Fork. Excellent builder. He was a drinker.
Not Tom Wheeler, right?
No, not Tom. No. Little before Tom's time. The book became widely known. Everybody in the country, virtually, got to know it. New York Times wrote a great review on it. And today, now we're 120 years later, after he and his wife left the cabin and the White and Friant people sold it back to the Forest Service, the cabin is destroyed. It's only stones on the ground now from the chimney. This is the story of how that happened. That's why it's called Faded Legacies. I think it's a legacy that deserves to be known by this county because it's an important area up there. The cabin barely exists, and the sign, as you'll see on page 26 or 27, Forest Service put up a sign about it. Nobody can read it now because it's been faded. It's unfortunate. And I'm hoping that when the Forest Service gets this, and they will in the next week, you're the first to get this, I'm hoping that they'll be a little bit embarrassed about this. I am told it costs $200 or so, $250 to replace the sign that no one can read. I offered to pay that money, and I'm told that it could not be accepted because of environmental impact report requirements. So I'm hoping that they will accept my money. I'm hoping that somebody will take enough interest in this because honestly, at the time that this was written, Stewart Edward White was one of the most famous authors in America compared to Jack London. The cabin was a famous site, and now hardly anybody remembers. But now you can, and I hope you enjoy this book from the Historical Society.
Thank you, Dennis.
Just a quick reminder, our 50th anniversary is coming up on September 28th this year. I hope you'll be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Jan Martin, and I do live in Madera County. I don't want this to be a repetition day, but I am the third person to speak of our water, and I just brought a sample so that you can see what we're after. This is a clean filter from our shower. This is a not so clean filter from our shower. This is what our water looks like. In the last 2-3 months, my toilets are now turning this color. That's how bad the rust is from the galvanized and the lead in our pipes. So that's only one patient. They've talked of other parts of it. Please clean our water. We can't live this way. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Is there anybody else with a public comment? Anybody online?
No comments online.
Okay, it looks like it's 10:29, so we will start with 6A. This would be, go ahead and make the announcement.
Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division, hearing to consider an adoption of a resolution approving the application of Creekside RM LLC for a subdivision final map amendment of Tesoro Viejo Creekside, tract number 314, and approving a related notice of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. This project is exempt from the California Environmental Act pursuant to section 15268 of the California Public Resources Code.
Okay, and this is actually item number 7A, and this is a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax again with Community and Economic Development. This is the last of 3 amended final maps in Tesoro Viejo. The previous 2, 311 and 313 that you considered previous months have already been recorded. And this is the last of those 3. It's just south of the canal in the Creekside District. We're required to have a public hearing in accordance with the code, and we're happy to respond to any comments.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any questions for Jamie? Very good. This is a public hearing. We'll open it up to receive any comments from the public. Any comments? Anybody online?
No comments online.
Seeing and hearing no comments, I'll close the public hearing and bring the item back for action.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Now we'll move to item 6A, and this is a presentation of a proclamation recognizing March 2024 as American Red Cross Month.
Good morning, board. How are we doing this morning?
Nothing short of terrific.
Supervisor Borges, that's great. So good morning. My name is Gerald Goldstein. I am the acting chair for the Central Valley American Red Cross. And I just wanted to come and say thank you to the board for proclaiming that March is Red Cross Month. Got a couple little words, but with a lot of that's going on with the organization and things that go on in the forefront, its preparation and vigilance and its constant state of readiness and its volunteers and the support from the communities is what really makes the Central Valley Red Cross thrive. And so just wanted to take an opportunity to give a short quote from the founder of the Red Cross, Clara Barton. "You must never so much think as whether you like it or not, whether it is bearable or not. You must never think of anything except the need and how to meet it." And I think that personifies specifically what the American Red Cross is about here in Central Valley. So again, I'd like to thank you all for proclaiming March as Central Valley or as Red Cross.
Very good. Thank you, Gerald. It was kind of interesting reading about the founder, Clara Barton, and she was born in 1821 and lived to 1912, so she lived to be 91 years old. But does anybody have any idea how old the Red Cross is, American Red Cross, Clara Barton being the founder? 100 years old, 120 years old, 130 years old? How about 143 years old? It was founded May 21st, 1881. So you've been around for a long, long time. And we'd like to thank the Red Cross for all they've done. Looks like Supervisor McCauley, you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with Red Cross, but no, I'm just kidding. Obviously, Red Cross is just such an amazing partner for folks up in the mountain area. Anytime we have some sort of disaster coming through, Trina, who's here, is always, manning the station, round the clock. Spent a couple shifts with her, and so just want to, express my appreciation for you guys, all the phenomenal work that you do supporting our community. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment? Seeing and hearing none. Gerald, we do have a proclamation we'd like to present to you. So I'd like to ask my colleagues to join myself and Gerald for a photo op.
Trina, would you also mind coming up?
Or took us to public comment took us to 10:30 public hearing. So let's go ahead and go to 6B. And this would be a presentation of a proclamation naming March 2024 as Professional Social Worker Appreciation Month. And all right. All our professionals are running down here.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, county staff. Steve Duckworth, Deputy Director, Social Services, along with my colleagues, Deputy Director Nikki Matisse, Social Worker Supervisor Brandy Curran, and social workers Marie Rogers, Jorge Martinez, and who else is back here? Charles Goldman, I'm sorry. So we're here to stand with you all. It's our good pleasure to stand with you all to proclaim this month as Social Worker Appreciation Month. We appreciate you guys taking the time and recognizing our social workers. Our social workers work under a code of ethics, and it's quite a lengthy code of ethics. There's a lot of it's quite legally, it's a long document, but they can be summed up in a couple simple core ethics. And those include service to others, the importance of relationships, integrity, competence, and a couple other core ethics which our social workers epitomize. As I supervise adult services division, we have two prime programs that social workers work in. One, in-home supportive services, which provides domestic services and personal care services for age, blind, and disabled individuals, and the other adult protective services, which goes out on complaints of abuse and neglect of adults or dependent adults, seniors or dependent adults, I should say. In those two programs, we have 23 social workers and 5 social worker supervisors. Our caseload is on the adult side. The need for services is greater than it's ever been, both because of the population growth in the senior population, and also because of regulatory changes in Sacramento and elsewhere that makes more people eligible for services that we're providing. So we've seen a tremendous growth in our caseload, and our social workers are very diligent in ensuring that services to the public are timely and they're thorough. And we're doing more things now than we've ever done before with seniors in particular, because the needs are great in our community. Like I said, we stand with you. We're happy to stand with you to salute our social workers and to proclaim this as Social Worker Appreciation Month. And I'm going to turn it over to our Deputy Director over Child Welfare Services, going to come up and say a couple things about her team.
Good morning, supervisors in the community of Madera. My name is Nikki Matus, and I am a deputy director with the Madera County Social Services. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker who has worked in the field of social work for about 17 years now in different capacities. Most recently, I joined the Madera County Department of Social Services to help lead the child welfare team in the amazing and often difficult work they do in our community. The primary goal of our child welfare team is to prevent or remedy neglect, abuse, or exploitation of children while preserving and rehabilitating or reuniting families. We also have the responsibility of assuring adequate care of our foster children and youth who are in out-of-home placement. In addition, we provide permanent placement services on behalf of children who cannot safely return home, and when there has been a judicial determination of a permanent plan for adoption, legal guardianship, or alternative living arrangement. The Child Welfare Division serves the mission of Madera County Department of Social Services through emergency response, family maintenance, family reunification efforts, permanency placement living arrangements, and an independent living program for our foster youth. Social workers are vital in providing all of these services that enhance our community well-being and help meet basic human needs of all people. We are grateful to all social workers for their dedication to human and community service. I have a couple of our team members here who have been chosen by their teams, and I'd like to invite Charles Goldman to the podium with me. I'd like to say a few words that his team provided. Charles Goldman joined the Department of Social Services and Child Welfare as a social worker in May of 2023. Since joining our team, he has actively interacted in our community by supporting the youth that we serve. Child has been a permanent placement social worker since August of 2023, working together with some of the department's most at-risk youth, instilling hope through service. Charles is committed to our youth, community, peers, and the Department of Social Services mission to promote and safeguard the well-being of our community. The Department of Social Services is appreciative of Mr. Goldman's service to our community.
It's an honor to be here and I'm thankful. And I'm happy for the opportunity to be in this county and to serve the youth here. They need us and they need a lot of help. And I just appreciate you guys for allowing us to have services here for the youth. And I'm gonna continue to be in the fight to make sure the youth are protected and safe and get the needs they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. I'd also like to invite Jorge Martinez. Jorge Martinez is a social worker 3 in our Child Welfare Emergency Response Unit. Mr. Martinez is the epitome of what it means to be a social worker. He is honest and trustworthy, and he consistently looks out for the well-being of his peers and families he serves. Mr. Martinez is noted to be the go-to person when his peers have questions or need support, and he actively engages with our families. He is known to lend a compassionate ear to his peers and families in need, as well as he assists with training and mentoring newly assigned social workers, walking beside them and serving our community. His team says it is truly an honor to know and work with Mr. Martinez, and the Department of Social Services is also appreciative of his service to our community.
Hello, good morning. Thank you.
Thank you. A man, a few words, but
Thank you all.
a lot of action. All right, very good. Thank you. Please.
Randy Kern. And since I may not get to in front of you guys, I'd like to say that for the last 30 years, it's been an honor serving the most vulnerable, our elders.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
Closing, we want to let the public know that they can look and find us on our website, social media. We have DSS, Madera County Department of Social Services, Facebook page, Instagram. Find us. Our phone numbers are there. Give us a call if anybody needs services, especially if they're struggling with their parents or somebody they're not sure what they can do. Give us a call. We'll be happy to discuss with them. Find us on the internet, and we'll be happy to engage with the public.
Well, thank you very much. And I don't think there are enough words to thank you and the team and all the individuals involved in this tremendous humanitarian effort is in terms of the impact that you make and how much you care. So thank you so much for all that you do. Are there any comments from my colleagues or the public?
I truly apologize. There's just no way of explaining how Maria Rogers was not introduced there. We got to make sure we give her a moment. Maria's doing a great job. Would you go ahead and introduce?
I'm a little nervous, but I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to serve the community and our family and our children to help them recover and then eventually giving back the children to reunite with the families. I love being a social worker and I love the way I love the work that I do, and I'm thankful that that the county allows me to support our families and be part of their lives.
Well, thank you so much. Very good. Well, with that, we do have a proclamation we'd like to present. So if everybody in all the team members would gather here and we'll join you and present the proclamation. Okay, let's circle back to the consent calendar now. And we have a request that we will work with first, and it's item 5D. It's a proclamation recognizing Women's History Month 2024. Supervisor McCauley.
Yeah, I was hoping we could pull this into open session so we can, give it proper recognition, just as we did with the other two proclamations. Obviously, Women's History Month is an important month for all of us, not just half of the population. So I thought it would be nice if we could take a moment and recognize those that are continuing to make history, as well as those that have come before us. So go ahead. Yeah.
And so thank you, Supervisor, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to announce that we had a big kickoff to Women's History Month on March 1st, a luncheon that was well attended. Thank you to Chairman Poithers for attending. And it was a great kickoff. And I'd also like to acknowledge Sarah Boss, our health director, who was recently recognized as Assembly District 27 Women Leading the Way recipient. It's exciting for you to represent Madera County and receive that recognition. So thank you for all that you do. But we've made a big splash, and we hadn't invited anyone to come receive the proclamation. That's why I asked Carla to put on consent. But of course, definitely something that we're celebrating all month, and keep an eye out. We also have the big banner outside the chamber. So lots of events happening. Lots of events happened this past weekend, and still more to come.
Very
So with
good.
that, I mean, we can acknowledge it.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to take a little picture. Maybe Sarah, Connie, Melissa, all the women can come up and take a picture, and then the men
All
can
the-
get out of the way.
So all the ladies come down.
Let's do it.
Okay. I was thinking.
We don't need to muck it up.
Okay, thank you very much. We will continue with the consent calendar. Are there any other items a colleague of mine would like to pull for further discussion?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I did have a couple comments on item E as well as item H. And then I had a couple questions on item P with Public Works. Starting with E, I just want to thank staff for continuing to work and try to recoup funds wherever possible. I was actually just talking with our Public Health Director, Sarah Boss, yesterday, and she was informing us that we were able to, I think, get something like, was it $2.6 million in funds that were unused from other counties. And so we were able to bring that in, which will help us save realignment funding. A very similar item here from the administrative department. So thank you to staff for doing such a diligent job with that. And then with item H, Gary was here talking a little bit about what we need to do to further staff fire stations, but he failed to recognize that county staff is doing more with essentially the same amount. So what we've done over the last year is we've actually been able to staff 2 fire stations without increasing our budget, which is just an amazing feat. So thank you, Chief McComb, for all your work in helping to keep Madera County safe. I think it's safe to say that public safety remains a top priority for us. And then item P, again, I just had a couple questions in regards to those funds, specifically the winter storm expenses, the $300,000, I think, which is going to be used to pay AG. My question around that is, do we expect to receive reimbursement from FEMA on these expenses? And if so, would those expenses be returned to the district?
So good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Andrea Saldati, Deputy Director of Public Works. So the answer to the question about reimbursement is everything that we did during the winter storms, we have requested reimbursement for. Because of the nature of the declaration made by the president, it did not include the word snow. And so what we have been kind of grappling and trying to get around is that there was snow caused from this winter storm. And so snow removal right now, we are trying to get permission for reimbursement. If we do get reimbursement for, these costs are in that reimbursable claim, and they would go back to the district if we were to receive dollars for it.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions from my colleagues? Any members of the public have any questions on a consent calendar item? Okay.
Yeah, on item M and N, we're abandoning right of way.
Morning, Chairman, members of the board, Jared with Public Works. Yes, do you have a specific question or you just
Yeah,
want?
what is it for?
These are vacations that were requested. They're unused roads that are not being maintained and utilized by the public. And so, as you know, when we try to get rid of those, if we're not using them, typically it's something that the property owner would like to get removed from their property to have the use of that land. So
it's the property owner.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Having reached out to the public, I will accept a motion for action.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Chairman Poitras.
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
thank you. 6C.
6C, County Administration Department, General Services Division, opioid settlement funds, discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 23-090 in the amount of $1,045,716 derived from opioid settlement fund balances to operating transfers out capital projects for fiscal year 2023-2024. 4 votes are required.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Amber Mojica, Analyst with General Services. I'm here with Jorge Mendoza, Capital Projects Manager. I think Connie Moreno Peraza, Director from Behavioral Health, is also here. We're here asking for approval of budget adjustments totaling $2,091,432, which is a 10% match to the Behavioral Health Continuum Infrastructure Program, Round 5 Crisis and Behavioral Health Continuum Grant. This money is going to help fund a crisis stabilization unit and sobering center that will serve both adults and youth here in Madera. I do want to say that there needs to be a correction on the recommended actions. In the body of the email, Prop 63 is mentioned, but we incorrectly put Prop 62 there. So I just wanted to correct that. But we're here for any questions that you may have.
Very good. Any questions? Any members of the public have any questions? Hearing, seeing none, we'll bring the item back for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Macaulay.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Chairman Poitras.
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
very good. Thank
Thank you.
Excellent. 6D.
Public Works Department, Engineering Services Division, interjection of an ordinance amending Chapter 2.18 of Chapter 2 of the Madera County Code relating to bidding procedures on public works projects. Waive the first reading and set the second reading for April 2nd, 2024.
Good morning again, Chairman, members of the board, Jared with Public Works. So this item is to amend Chapter 2.18 of the county code. And what this will do was give us the ability to both solicit bids electronically, but also receive those bids. So currently we advertise electronically in different electronic plan rooms. However, we don't have the ability to receive bids electronically. We have to do that physically and open bids here in the building. So what this will allow us to do is to do all of that electronically, which is really something that a lot of agencies have already moved to. So it'll make the process easier, faster, smoother, should save some time and costs on all that effort as well. This will be something that not only Public Works will use, but also General Services and other folks who are soliciting for services can do this process. And so we already have a system that we're looking at to put this in place. Once we have this approved, we can move forward with that. So I'm available for any questions.
Very good. Sounds great. Any questions of Jared? Any members of the public have any questions? Seeing and hearing none.
Move to waive the first reading, set the second hearing for April 2nd. Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Macaulay.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Chairman Poitras.
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
thank you. Moving on to item 8A.
County Administration Department, discussion and consideration to ratify a letter of support for continued funding for Madera and, of Fresno and Madera County Round 5 homelessness housing assistance and prevention funding for fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This was a letter that needed to be submitted in between your last board meeting and today to be properly considered in the budgeting process. As you're familiar, we've entered into a number of HHAP grants, this one being 5. On this one, we determined that it may be the most beneficial to our area to do a combined letter with the County of Fresno asking the legislature to support any budgetary and legislative action that would protect this funding for counties, cities, and for the Fresno Madera continuum of care.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any questions of our CAO regarding this letter? Any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, I'll ask for action.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Chairman Poitras?
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
thank you. Item 8B.
County
It-
Administration Department, discussion and consideration to ratify a letter of support in the continuation of California Confidential Networks for Contact Tracing System operated by the California Department of Public Health.
Thank you. This letter was also required to be in before today's meeting in order to meet the budgetary hearing. It is a request for $33.5 million to support the continuation of the California Confidential Network for Contact Tracing. And that was something that obviously was instrumental in the fight against COVID, and we'd like to see this funding continue for public health.
Thank you. Any questions regarding this item? Do any members of the public have a question regarding the item? Comment? Seeing and hearing none, I'll bring it back for action.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Chairman Poitras?
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
thank you. Item 8C.
County Administration Department, discussion and consideration to ratify a letter of support of AB 1956 as introduced by Assembly Member Reyes relating to victim services.
Thank you. AB 1956 is designed and introduced as a stopgap to supplement the federal VOCA funding, which seems to be in a continuous downward slide. As you can see from the letter, there's numerous agencies, both public agencies and community-based operators that serve victims who have submitted this letter together in support of this concept with Assemblymember Reyes's bill.
Very good, thank you. Any questions regarding support of AB 1956? Are there any questions from the public? Seeing and hearing none, I'll accept the motion for action.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Chairman Poitras?
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
thank you. And item 8D.
8B, County Administration Department, discussion and consideration to authorize a letter of support for SB 1032 as introduced by Assembly Member Padilla relating to housing finance, portfolio restructuring, loan forgiveness.
Thank you. SB 1032, if signed, would give HCD the ability, it wouldn't require them, it would just give them the authority to forgive certain specific legacy loans per HCD's discretion. The idea behind giving them this discretion would be to help certain housing agencies who may be on the verge of default on old loans, not loans issued recently, in order to keep them afloat fiscally and also performing their job to provide affordable housing in the areas that they serve. So again, this is just to give them the authority to forgive loans as HCD determines.
Very good. Are there any questions regarding this item? Are there any comments from the public? I'll accept the motion for action.
To approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Chairman Poitras?
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
very good. Thank you. Let's move on to supervisor and staff reports. I'll start to my far right. Supervisor Wamhaugh.
Oh, I'm gonna get on my soapbox just for a little bit here because last week I attended the Housing California conference in Long Beach, and I was excited, hopeful that we're going to learn about CEQA exemptions and streamlined processes, ways to remove red tape to reach our 2.5 million housing goal by 2030, but instead, it was quite eye-opening. The place was run by people who are focused solely on diversity, equity, and inclusion, total obsession with racial equity, fairness. They were not focused on adding rooftops, almost no interest in finding creative ways to add homes. It was pretty remarkable. These people are total radical left-wing nut jobs, to be honest. You know, they were more obsessed with stating their pronouns before people spoke than addressing the actual housing shortage. It was remarkable. There was an entire session centered on the criminalization of homelessness, of homeless individuals, and they were essentially patting themselves on the back for perpetuating homeless to stay on the streets. There was no talk of wraparound services or creative ways to get them off the street. They were just patting themselves on the back for their judicial wins for allowing homeless to stay on the street. Even our Attorney General, Rob Bonta, spoke. He touted lawsuits against Huntington Beach, Coronado, these high-end communities for not participating in a lot of their affordable housing programs. But he can't tout anything else because the product that they've delivered is absolutely abysmal. So this really was eye-opening as far as how screwed up our state actually is. In order to reach 2.5 million homes by 2030, we need 400,000 homes per year. And last year, California spent $18.5 billion for 57,000 units, not homes, units. So these affordable homes, you have to question, who's it affordable for? Is it affordable for the taxpayers or affordable for the renters that are there? Because that's $325,000 per unit. Affordable units in coastal communities, $700,000 per unit, which is just mind-blowing. So as long as these radical activists are running the show, you can expect no real results. And we have to fight to restore the sanity to our state because it is an absolute mess. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but it was eye-opening.
Very good. Well, thank you for attending.
Tell us how you really feel.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
I'm just kidding.
I don't think I want to follow that. So I'll be in Sacramento tomorrow for the Valley Voice lobbying trip. And also I wanted to announce that next Monday, there will be a special town hall meeting regarding Measure T. And that will be at the Meadows facility. We'll provide that information on our social media, but it's from 6 to 8 at the Meadows. That's my report.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor McCauley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This weekend, I actually had the pleasure of going up to the railroad fire burn scar and seeing firsthand some of the forestry work they're doing out there as far as creating defensible spaces around Elder Grove, which houses, I think, something around 30% of our giant sequoias that are remaining in the world. So really important project. But there I was also able to see some of the new growth, some of the sequoias that have sprouted up since the fire. And so it was really neat to be able to see those trees coming up through the ashes that will be there really for, hopefully the thousands of years to come. So great opportunity to go out there and see.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. Supervisor Rogers.
And I want to thank several people on public-private partnership in helping our local fair do some major repairs that are needed. And I want to thank Phil Toller and his team for coming out and helping us determine some costs. And Matt Skolnick's been very plugged into this. Fair is something that everybody uses, and it's so important to the community. Like to see it look as good as possible and be functional in that regard. And so I'm putting some resources into that myself, and I know others in the community are. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. We're also talking to Rotary, and Rotary is super helpful. We just really appreciate Rotary and what they do for the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to, for myself, mention last week was a decent week for me. Started off really great. Grandchild number 11 was born. Little Catherine, 7 pounds, 6 ounces. and she's doing very well. And
Yay.
then I won re-election to the Board of Supervisors Tuesday. It was, I was thinking about winning an election, and it is not really it's we, it's the voters. It's the voters who make it happen. There's nothing that I can do. There's not enough money I can pay. There's not enough whatever it would take.
Right.
It's not that sort of process. It's based on who the voters want. And so I just like to thank number one, the voters, my family, all those who supported me. It was definitely a team effort. So thank you very much. And I look forward to remaining in this role and serving with my distinguished colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Glad to have you back.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Varney.
Admin staff has started our budget reviews with various departments. They have to start singing the old Lori Morgan song, "What part of no," don't you? Wishing for better budget times, but we'll do what we can do. Bring a good budget to the board in June.
Great. Thank you. Council,
No report, Chair. Thank you.
clerk of the board.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Very good. Supervisor Wamhoff.
And in my rant, I forgot to add that today is my son's 15th birthday, so happy birthday, Raven.
Yay.
15, crazy.
15. Excellent. All right. And with that, everybody have a great St. Patrick's Day and have a good rest of today. Thank you.